This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so let's get started. And okay, let me minimize this. Yeah. So first thing, I think we can use this solution what we created earlier. Let's start with a new project. So I'm going to create a new project. Mm, right. And what we're going to take, we are going to take this. Let me search. Will be better. Class. Yeah. So this one, class library.NET framework. And I can give it some name like we have talked earlier. We need a few things. Okay, so we need RestSharp, JSON.NET, two things. Okay, so I'll install for this project NewtonSoft.json, and we require RestSharp. And as I have discussed, better to always use this one, not 5.2.3. Okay, so this installation part is done. And all right, so okay, let me open that. Okay, so first thing, I will start with this list users, okay, this endpoint, and here is the response we get. Okay, so the before we start, I think we need to have the data transfer objects, okay, which will manage uh, data transfer between uh, objects. So for that, let's create a class file. Okay, and I can say list. Uh, okay, list of users DTO. So just so I'm writing DTO because we can, by seeing itself, we can know for what the purpose we made this class. Okay, so for this we need to follow for the each. Yeah, so here just clear control A and delete. Why it's not working? Open quick type. Yeah, right. And whatever that you copied, so this we need to follow for the each request and response. So currently we are handling a get request, so obviously we'll have only response. Okay, and here you need to change few things like just types. Okay, so we'll get a class. So this is a useful app to convert a JSON to C# class. Okay, so if you are very good in understanding of JSON, you can directly write your code. Otherwise, this app will help you to convert your JSON into a C# class. Okay, so now copy this, and I can okay, this thing I can remove, and here, because okay, so I can delete this, and we can say public partial class. Okay, and here I can say data, and here I can modify data, and this one I guess we need to remove, right? So what we did here, we take the response of the get list users, that is get method, we converted into a data transfer object class file. So this is basically a class file, and so that was required for us. Okay, all right, now let's go to utilize this class, whatever I think it was created, and I can name it as a demo. Sorry, never, I think better to rename always from here, that actually rename all the references. So all right, now the first day what we did, we have to create a method which will handle uh, this get user request and response. Okay, so let's create uh, a method get users. Okay, but we need to utilize a list of users TTO, because we it need to handle that list of users. Okay, so what should be the return type? So this, okay, and the same thing what we did, we need to first create a client. So I can say REST client. Okay, and new REST. Okay, and here we need to pass. So let me first import this. Okay, using RestSharp, and here we need to pass our base URL for this. So base URL is for this regress, I guess, yeah, .in. Okay, so to create a client, as we discussed earlier, we need to pass the base URL. Okay, now to handle the REST request, we need to create another object of REST request of resharp, sorry, REST sharp. Okay, and what need to pass here, we need to pass the endpoint. Two things we need to pass. So basically endpoint would be going back to this one. This is the endpoint we need. some space issue. Okay, and what else we require? We need to tell which method it is. Okay, so it is get method. Right now we need to add headers inside this request what we are sending along with the request. Okay, so REST request dot add headers. Okay, and here actually only we need one, and as you know, sometimes we may need to pass other headers as well. So that depends on what kind of web services you are working and what kind of headers is requires. You can pass along with the request. Okay, and once it is done, you need to tell what format you need. Okay, so request format, and here we have data format dot JSON. All right, and now we need once this request will be sent, so how we'll get the response. Okay, so to handle that response, we have one interface. Okay, that is REST response. Okay, and using the client REST client dot sorry, what we client we created. Okay, and here we need to pass the request we created, and to get the content uh, we need to response dot content. Okay, so same thing we are following here, but only thing is the DTO objects now we have in the place. Okay, now once it is done, so we need to convert the JSON using JSON convert and to deserialize this. Okay, so where users JSON convert. So let me import this library JSON convert and deserialize object. Here we need to pass we need to make it generic. Okay, so to make it generic we need to this angle brackets we need to place, and we need to pass the DTO which we created a list of users. Okay, and we need to pass the content here, right? And then we can return this users as a objects. So here content will be in a string, and here we are serializing into objects. So what kind of uh, objects we require in serialize? When you have to map the string JSON, when it converts into JSON, you need this DTO. So each data in your JSON will be mapped with this class and whatever the properties we have there. All right. Now let me add another project, which is unit test. Okay. All right. So I'll add this unit test project and name it API test. Okay, what we created here means in this demo project, that is to handle the request and to mapping the objects from the response to this. Okay, so that thing will be done here, but you have to write your test also, right? How you will suppose you are writing a manual test, how to validate these responses, right? Where you will write, you need to create a unit test project, that is API test. So that's what I created, a unit test project. Okay, let me rename it. So now you get the idea, right? So you need to write your test like verify this get users returns this list of properties or this list of data. First test case. Second test case, verify some other properties like this, where you will write those. So for that purpose, you need a unit test project. So what I will rename it, suppose API, or suppose I say regression test. Okay. So starting this project means it will look for this uh, like I made this unit test project. It will go for look for the test methods we have in this file and start running those tests. Okay. So what will happen? We we will create objects of these classes what we created and create objects inside this unit test project and call those methods we created. Okay. So once your build is ready and uh, so when you start running, it will look for this default project and then methods. So one by one methods, it will start executing. So what will happen? Let me show you the text explorer. Yeah, I guess already we have. Now, when we create a project, okay, unit test project. So whatever test you will add, it will appear here. Okay, now you see this project name is API test, right? Now this will have one regression test suite, and inside this we have one test method. Test method means this is my one test case. Okay, so whatever it is better always better to give a proper name. Okay, so I'll rename it. So this might be the first test case. Then I will create another test method here. Okay, that will be my second test case, like this. Okay, so this way you can run all your tests in a one go, or you can run one by one. Okay, but generally what will happen, we'll mark this as a category. So I'm explaining way forward concept right now because you ask. We'll categorize these tests as a sanity, regression, and based on those, when you suppose you are using pipeline. Okay, so there I can say a test category run only sanity test or test category run only regression test suite. So whatever the regression test will have, whatever the test script you created inside this, suppose 30, 40, 100, all will run. Okay, so you don't need to bother about going running test each at a time. Okay, so you just need to categorize those tests. This proper test case name, uh, list of users. Okay, or so suppose this is just a test case name someone has given, or you can also give. Okay, now I need because I need to access sorry, this demo this demo project inside this another project, this unit project, right? So how we can access? We need to add in reference. Okay, so you can right click on the reference in API test. Don't add references in the both places. Like suppose I'm adding reference for this demo project, and if demo project you also go and add this API test here, so there will be a called circular reference exception something. So don't do this, it always one way. So I need to access these demo projects inside this API test. Okay, so I need to go and add a reference. Go to project and we have demo. Okay, and click OK. Now the reference of this project is added. Now I can utilize those. I can create objects and suppose I gave the class name and demo, sorry, new demo. Okay, and what happened? Okay, let me build again it. Let me save and demo is a name issue but used like a type. Okay, now we can call those methods, right? So the method this demo file has get users. Okay. So what it will return? It will return the objects. Okay, so I can create a kind of response, means a variable which will uh, hold this uh, response returned from this method get users from here, right? Now how to verify those, because this ms test sorry, this unit test product comes. So for each no, not a single class file, for each request. So suppose for the post method we'll have one request and the response, right? So basically we need to validate the response. So generally we create a DTO of that only. So if you want to create for both request and response, better. But because we need to handle only response, because we need to validate few things there, so each response of each endpoint need to be created in a separate class file as a DTO. So what we'll have in this API demo, we'll create a folder. Okay, suppose I would say that folder name DTO or response DTO, and inside that response DTO, I will have all the classes for the each request type, means for the responses. Okay, maybe when I explain later, you will get to know. Means maybe after this, I'll tell you the what is the problem with this and how to resolve those. Okay. So what we have to do? Suppose we need to verify, right? What? So if you go here, all the properties we have for page v2, this number is 2, that expected reality 2, per page how many, then data, suppose you want to verify the first name of this ID 7, first name should be this. Okay, so those things you need to write here. Okay, so suppose a page you want to verify. So page number is 2 already. This is expected result. Okay, object expected, and response is what we are using this variable dot. Now you see the objects. If I just remove this, data is one object, page is one property in that class in the list of user DTO. First, let me show you this. So here page, per page, total, this data, all this property we have of this response. Okay, so to validate this, I need this page. Okay, this is one validation. Another validation would be assert dot are equal. Suppose I need to verify name of this. Okay, so Michael. So response dot data, and this is actually a array. Okay, so suppose if I put 0 dot, now you'll get the first name, ID, last name, all those things, right? All these are coming because of this DTO class what we created. So if you see here, this is a list, okay, and this list will have all these data means properties, uh, ID, email, first name, last name, and avatar, all this. So in this way, I can verify all the properties, generally what we manually verify. Okay, now let's save this and debug. Okay, okay, once it is ready, okay, now it's ready. So see, if you mouse over here, you will see the response. Okay, data, data we have 6, and if you go each by if you expand this, all the information you can see here what it is returned from. Okay, so for the first uh, array on the 0 place we have this data. So this way we have 6 records inside this. Okay, so whatever you want to verify you can verify. Similar way we have page to per page and all these from the other parcel class we created, and data is in a separate parcel class, so it's coming from there. Okay, so this way. Now let's press F10. Okay, so that means it is passed. F10 exception. Okay, so why it is null? So see, uh, we are expecting Michael should be there, but it is says first name is null. Okay, actual is null. So we need to see why it is coming null. Okay, let me put the breakpoint here. Okay, and debug again. Okay, so this response 0, what will have? Yes, the first name is, it's coming null. Email is fine, ID is fine. Suppose if I give one, what? So all those names are coming null. And last name null. Why it is coming null? So okay, let me debug from here. So we need to figure out why it is okay. Here we are fine. REST client created is done. Okay, so I need to see what in the response. Okay, so this is the, yeah, let's see. First name is Michael, last name is, okay, let me view as a JSON maybe, and then it will be more clear. Okay, first underscore name it is coming. Okay, that's why. Let me check my list of users DTO. Okay, let me try this. If I can put underscore, does it uh, and let me put in the same way. If just in the case we need to handle this one as well, means if it is case sensitive. All right, let me debug it again. Right. All right, F11. Let's go to F10 and F10. Okay, data is coming. That's not a problem. Okay, now here what we got. Okay, now it's coming. Let's see what it is returning. It's fine. Now fine. So that was the issue. So my first test case is passed. So if we go here, so the first test case is passed. Okay. So yeah, uh, questions if you have any. Right. So yeah, it's the same way how it is returning. What is the property name? So while converting into the class file, I think that the this application removed the underscore and all, and we didn't realize that the property name in the same way. So that was the problem. Okay, so we need to make sure like all these things are correct. Now let's take example of a post method. Okay, so let improve from here what we have done till now, and first let me explain what is issue you will face if you follow this. Okay, now this is fine, like for the post request also I would go and create this. So let me go and create a class from here. Right, so this class is got created. I'll copy just this one, and I'll go and add another class. Okay, so suppose create users or create user DTO. So always use DTO so that you will be aware like what kind of class it is, and I can just paste it here. All right, now we created another for the post request, we created another DTO. So it's now time to put under some folder. Okay, so that will be better, I guess. And I can move all these to under this. Okay, all right. Now it's quite looking good now because we moved under this folder structure DTO, and all my files related to this DTOs will go here. Okay, so let me once verify the properties, like everything is correct for this. So name, job, ID created at, so that's fine. Okay, if requires, I think we can use the small cases of letters because all the properties are that way only. But we did not see that issue, so leave it. Now let's go to this create users. Okay, sorry, this demo class where we have this get users. Now to create user, what I need to do, I need to create another method. So let me copy this. Okay, and here I can say create user. Okay, and what with the return type? So return type will be create user DTO. Yeah, I think using demo. Okay, now you see the problem is we are making our code uh, say a duplicate, we are writing duplicate code, right? Because again we need to create a client, again we need to create a request and tell. So every time you have to uh, write a method for this, for each web service. What you are doing, you're writing same code again and again, same thing for REST client, request, response. Okay, deserializing, everything for each request you have to do. Okay, so I think it's time to change our means refactor this thing. So I think for each method, sorry, each endpoint, I need to have these methods. Okay, means which I will create a helper class. Okay, which can handle all my uh, duplicate codes what we are writing here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's add another uh, class, and I would say API helper. Okay, all right. So This class will provide us all the properties and methods for creating a request, creating different kind of requests like post, get. Because earlier in how we were developing in the same file, means in the demo, every time we have to create a client, we have to create request and all. So that's not a good approach, right? And we are also making hard code things like every time we need to pass a base URL. So we are hard coding this. So let's make it more reusable. Okay. So public REST client. Okay. And I need to import this library. Sorry. Okay. Public REST request. Right. And the name can get this one. Public string base URL. Okay. For now, I'm hard coding this, but we'll move this to app config files in very short time. So let us copy this. Because this kind of server name, which will be common for all the endpoints, right? So if server change, just change here. No need to change everywhere like in this approach. So just one place we can change and it will handle for the different servers, right? Okay, let's save this. And now we have to create methods for the uh, so another thing, we need to create a set means as URL. We need to combine this URL and this endpoint address. So if you see here, the complete address of any this request is this request.in API users. Okay, this is the complete address. And suppose currently in this server, if this web services are deployed in some other server, like this may be some production, maybe deployed in QA, this URL will change, but this endpoint will not change. Okay, so every time base URL will change, but the API will remain, endpoint will remain same. So we need to create a method which can handle this. REST client. Okay, so I would say set URL. Okay, and here I want to pass endpoint address. Okay, all right. Now URL. So here using this system, I need to import this. Okay, this is part of system IO. Using this combine method, it requires your base URL and endpoint, right? What we are passing. Okay. Now we'll have the complete URL. Okay. And now I can create a client of this. All right. So here I need to pass the URL, right, to create the client or REST client, and I will return this. Okay. Okay, this is for the client. Now we need to create for the, now we require post, right? We have to create a post request. So to make that method which can be used by any post method, okay, I need to use this REST request, because this will be this method will return the request. So suppose create post request, and string here I want to pass payload. So payload means the request body, right? So either you can, as per your convenience, you can make it a payload. Norm terminology is payload, request body, whatever you feel, you can name it. That's up to you. Okay, so REST request, I would say, okay, and here I need to say method dot post. So what kind of method we want for this? Post method. Okay, so we added that, and let us add uh, request headers here, and header the same thing, like accept application JSON. All right, another different thing here we need to do is we need to uh, add a parameter here. Okay, what it says, adds a parameter to the request. There are 4 type of parameters. Okay, you can read it here. So we need a request body type. Okay, so that we need to tell, and it requires name, object, and parameter type. So first thing we need to pass this application JSON. Okay, and the value is payload, what we are passing from here, and the parameter type is request body. So this additional thing we require, because this will send the payload, the request body inside this, and we are saying that this is a request body in the format of JSON. Okay, so that additional thing we require here, and then we need what will this method will return? This method will return the request, REST request. All right, so we're talking about the payload. So payload is this, what you pass as a request. So to create users, we need some details of that user. So user can name, job, so that in a request body you need to send. Okay, and using those details, user will be created. So this is, I'm saying, a payload. So just let me know means what you are saying as a publish something. Now the response part we need to handle. Okay, so to handle response we need to create a method. What would be the, so here the return type I want to manage with this I REST response. Okay, the, and I can say get response. A few things require REST client. I can pass as a client, and REST request I can pass as a request. All right. So here return client dot execute, and I need to pass the request. So that's required for the response. Okay. Now we need to deserialize as well this response, right? Because this response will return a string, and we need to handle this. So we need, let's create a separate method, uh, get content, if I say. Okay. So what will be the return type? Because we are making this a generic method, so I can say, I can name it anything. I just gave it a name as a DTO. Okay. And I can pass a DTO here. So this method requires response. Okay, so REST response, make it response. Okay, so where content, like the same way like how we were doing earlier, response dot content. So what it will do, it will execute the request. So get response, what it will do, it will, because earlier other methods we created, like setting URL, creating a request.
Okay.
So those are just generic methods for particular purpose. But this response will actually execute your request. It will send data uh, to the server using this client and the request. Okay, so actual all right. So uh, here we need to deserialize. Okay, so suppose if I say some DTO object using this JSON convert, I need to import this NewtonSoft.json dot deserialize, right? And to make it generic, I use this, and I need to pass the content and return this right. So this helper class, I think mostly almost completed with basic things what we need. Client for each request will create a separate post, get, delete, put, whatever the request require. Response will be handled by only one, and this deserializing an object will be handled by this get content. Okay, using JSON NewtonSoft.json. Okay, so let's go to the regression. What happened again here? Okay, so one error is, let me remove this, or just better to
No, what happened? Hmm. API test. This is a namespace. It is saying it is a namespace. Let me see the references. No, not here. It's already updated. This demo class has API demo. Here. What I clicked. Okay. Hmm, We are using this. What it is saying. We have API demo here. That's fine. What else? API demo here. Here also. Yeah, I think it will resolve now. Yeah. All right. I think there was one namespace in the another file. Okay. All right. Now, let me create a new user. Suppose this is the new test method or test name we gave here. Okay. So first thing, what we need as a payload, that request body. So we need this one. Right, let me copy this. And string payload. So here we need to pass it as as it is. Okay. So for that we need to use this ampersand. Okay. And yeah, here. Okay. So this just to be in sync. Yeah, like looks like a JSON file. What this error method is. Okay. What did it say? Some any curly braces are missing? No. Okay, maybe this is incorrect. We need to create a object of this new API helper class, and we need to make it more generic. Okay, so that's why I created a generic and here create user DTO. Okay, so where URL, what we need user dot set URL, this method which created in the API helper. Okay, and what it needs endpoint. Why error we are getting here? A non-generic type API helper cannot be used this type of argument. So do I need to create this way? Yeah. So you know the concept of making generic classes, right? So we need to use this angle brackets, and you can pass, means you can name it anything here. So what is the purpose of making it generic? Because now this class will work for the list of users. This class will work with the create users DTO. It can work with any DTO. So that's why we have to make it generic class will be there. Yeah, but here we are saying like at the time of creating object, we are passing uh, different DTOs. So to make it generic, we use this way, this angle bracket. So we need to mention there also in that class that this API helper class is also a generic class which can handle different DTOs. Now what it said, the type REST client is defined in assembly that is not reference. You must add a reference to the assembly. Um, where add reference? Okay. All right. So in the same way, we need to create a request. So for this request, user dot uh, get request, right? Create post request, right? Because we need a post now, and here we need to pass this payload.
What is
Now response user dot get response, right? That's the method we have, and it requires a client and request. Okay, so URL and request, and now what we need to use this DTO. Okay, create user DTO content user dot get content. Okay, and we need to pass response here, so to deserialize and convert into the objects. what it says, cannot convert the get content. This API we have here, right? We have this get content who what we are missing here, endpoint we are passing, so it will execute, and the get content means it will convert that response into objects, a desired type object. Okay, all right, now okay, so now we can use this assert that are equal. Okay, so expected and actual. So suppose expected is Morpheus, so suppose this already there, so suppose we need to create something Mike and team lead. All right, so suppose the name is expected is Mike, and what actual we are getting, so content dot name. This works like the same we have in other practical applications. You will have more details, right, along with the see this auto created this ID and the created at and the data we passed. So we need to validate that whatever the data we passed in the payload, the data is correct. So that's what we are verifying here. Like we are passing Mike. Is Mike is coming from the response or not? Okay. And the same way, let me copy this. And the job is team leader. And here dot job. Okay. Let's put a debug breakpoint here. Invalid URI could not be determined. Okay. Uh, okay. It's not combining base URL and it's just giving endpoint what we passed. Okay. Let's put breakpoint here. Base URL is this. Okay. This is fine. Why it is not combining? What? Okay, is it okay? 1 second. If I change the and run it again. Okay, F11. Now what we have? Still we have. Mm, do we need to remove from the endpoint this? Okay, let me debug it again and let me remove this. Okay, maybe is it considering the escape in this forward slash? Okay, let's see. Right. So the another what we gave, that forward slash, uh, it was taking as escape sequence kind of thing. So yeah, I think in base URL you need to add and remove the forward slash from there. Uh, like here we have, right? So we need to remove this forward slash. Okay, now I think we are good. It created the REST client. Okay, let's see. So URL, your URL is set. Okay, so we have this base URL is correct. Now F10. Now the request is, this is post method, right? And parameters all things are fine. Let's see the debug response. Okay, so here it will execute. Yeah, it executed and response it return, right? Okay, so status code is created and the content in the string like this. So we have received the data, maybe text, yeah. So Mike, name is Mike, job team leader and all. So till here fine. Now we convert it into the objects here. Right? Maybe I'll show you how it converts. F11, it will go here. Okay, so now it converted into this way. So your response was that way. Now it created, because of we made this generic and utilized the data transfer object, it mapped with those property with the data transfer object properties, created ID, job, name. All right. Now this will be passed, this will be passed, and done. So if I go here, create new user is passed. So now I can go and run all my tests at once. All the test cases passed and see how fast it will be. It takes 1 second. It took 93 milliseconds. So even if you have 50 or 100, it will be completed in 1 or 2 minutes, or depending on the response of your endpoints.
Okay.
All right. So today we have covered, I think, we refactored, we made this more generic helper class to handle all kind of the DTOs. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, means we refactored. And now one problem you will see here, why every time, so see, this is for the new user, and today I'm not going to cover, it's already I think 11 here. Okay, so again, suppose I create a different post request. Suppose if I go to some other post,